We're going to look at how you find the lowest common multiple and the highest common factor of a pair of numbers. Now, the method I'm going to use here, if you don't like it and you want to use the prime factor decomposition method, I will have a video out on that in a few days' time, and you can go onto the YouTube channel and that will be released, and it'll show you how to find the highest common factor and lowest common multiple using prime factor decomposition. But for this video, we're just going to look at the multiples and find the lowest one, and the factors and find the highest one. So we'll start off with the lowest common multiple of 120 and 48. So first of all, you're going to need to find your multiples for each number. So we're going to start with 120. And you just simply keep adding on 120. So 120, 240, add another 120 would be 360. Add another 120 would be 480, etc. Now, I'm not going to find any more than that for now. Hopefully that will be enough to give us our lowest common multiple. So now I need to find the multiples of 48. So we'll start with 48. Add 48 onto that and you get 96. Add another 48 onto 96 and you get 144. Add another 48 onto 144 and you get 192. And add another 48 onto 192, you get 240. And there we found it, because 240 is in both lists. So our lowest common multiple here is 240. So the LCM is equal to 240. Now, that's fine. This method works fine if you're working with quite sensible numbers. But if you're working with very difficult numbers and you're not finding the lowest common multiple, then you might need to use prime factor decomposition. So this is our lowest common multiple here. Find your multiples for each number, and then whichever one appears in both lists, that is your lowest common multiple. So let's go then to the highest common factor. So we need to find the factors of each number. So we'll start with 120. And the factors of 120 are 1 times 120 gives you 120. 2 times by 60. 3 times by 40 would give you 120. 4 times by 30. It is in the 5 times tables because it's got a 0 in then. So 5 times by 24. And then 6 times by 20, because 6 times 2 is 12, but 0 on, so 6 times by 20. It also divides by 8, so 8 times by, and 120 divided by 8 is 15, so it's 8 times 15. And then that brings us, it doesn't divide by 9, so the next one would be 10 times by 12. And then between 10 and 12, we only have the number 11, and it doesn't divide into 120, so that means we've found all of the factors of 120. So let's find the factors then of 48. So again, start with 1 times 48. Then 2 times, because it's even, it's going to divide by 2, so 2 times by 24. It is in the 3 times table, so 3 times by, and 3 into 48 goes 16 times. And then it divides by 4, because 4 times 12 is 48. And lastly, it is also in the 6 times tables, and 6 times 8 is 48. And the only number between 6 and 8 is 7, and it doesn't divide into 48, so we've now found all the factors. Now we're wanting to find the highest common one. So we're looking to find the highest in both of these two lists. So if I start with my 48, there's no 48 in my 120 list. It's not there. If I go down then from 48 to 24 and look through my 120 list, yes, I've got a 24. So that would be my highest one. That is in both lists. So my highest common factor is equal to 24. Now that can take a little bit of time, a little bit of working out. You might need to do some division or multiplication sums at the side of your page to work out your factors on your multiples, and that just takes a little bit of patience. So I've got a couple of exam questions here. So this first one says, find the lowest common multiple of 120 and 150. So we're going to need to find all the multiples of 120 and then find the multiples of 150 till we find one that matches. So we'll start with 120. So 120, add another 120 is 240. Add another 120 is 360. Add another 120 is 480. I'll do just one more and add another 120 would be 600. Okay, let's then find the multiples of 150. So 150 plus another 150 would be 300. Plus another 150 would be 450. Plus another 150 would be 600. And there we've just spotted it. It is 600. So the lowest common multiple of these two would be 600. Okay, that's a lowest common multiple question. So let's try a highest common factor. So we need to find all the factors of 60 and 114. Feel free to pause the video and try this yourself if you want. And then come back and check if you've done it right. So we'll start with 60. So 1 times 60 gives us 60. 2 times 30. 3 times by 20 would give me 60. 4 times by, and if you're not sure, just work it out somewhere inside of your page. So 60 divided by 4 goes in once with 2 left over. 4 into 20 goes 5 times, so it's 4 times 15. It is in your 5 times table, so 5 times by 12. And then we have 6 times by 10. It doesn't divide by 7. It doesn't divide by 8. And it doesn't divide by 9. So we've got all our factors of 60 here. So let's go ahead now and find all our factors of 114. So start with 1 times 114. Then 2 times by 57. Does it divide by 3? It does. So I need to work out what that is. So 3 into 114. 3 into 1 doesn't go. 3 into 11 goes. Well, 3 threes is 9 with 2 left over. 3 into 24 goes 8 times. So it's 3 times by 38. Does it divide by 4? I'm not entirely sure, so I'll check. 4 into 114 doesn't go into 1. 4 into 11 goes, well, 4 twos is 8 with 3 left over, and 4 into 34 doesn't go, so it's not divisible by 4. It doesn't divide by 4 because it doesn't end in a 5 or a 0. Divide by 6. Yeah, it should divide by 6, so 6 into 114. 6 into 1 doesn't go. 6 into 11 goes once with 5 left over. And 6 into 54 goes 9 times, so it's 6 times by 19. Does it divide by 7? I'm not sure, I'll have to check that. So 7 into 1 does not go. 7 into 11 goes once with 4 left over, and 7 doesn't divide by 44, so no. It doesn't divide by 8. Because it doesn't divide by 4, so it won't divide by 8. Doesn't divide by 9. Doesn't divide by 10. Doesn't divide by 11, because 11 times 11 is 121. And I think we've probably got them all at this stage. So we're looking to find our highest common factor. So start with 114. Well, that's not on the 60 list. 57's not over there. 38's not over there. 19's not over there. So the next one would be 6. So that means that the highest common factor of 60 and 114 is 6.